Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. Getting wisdom. The book of Proverbs is chucked with these huge statements about wisdom. Getting wisdom is the wisest thing you can do. I just want to pause and let that sink in. Getting wisdom is the wisest thing you can do. Okay, so let's be real clear about what wisdom is. If it's so important, if it's the wisest thing we can do, if it's the most valuable thing on the planet, what is it? Wisdom is seeing life from God's point of view. The ability to see your life and every part of it from God's point of view. Do you want to have a great marriage? Get God's viewpoint on marriage. What does God say about being a great husband? Loving your wife as Christ loved the church. Wives, you submitting to your husbands as to the Lord, not as some, dictator, but as someone who has laid his life down for you. What does the Bible say about covenant in marriage and mutual submission and caring for each other like that? Well, you want to be a great parent? The Bible's loaded with teaching on that. You want to know how to handle your finances? Again, the Bible's loaded with wisdom on debt and investing and how to handle your money and we could go right down the line. Get God's perspective on your life and your relationships and every part of it. You're going to find yourself living a wise life, and it's going to lead to wonderful things. Now, just being clear, continuing to kind of define this word, wisdom is not knowledge. It's not intellect. It's not how smart are you. I think we probably all have somebody in our life that we've known, and we'd say, man, they were brilliant. They were brilliant. Look at the education they had. They were so smart. They got A's in the classroom, but they got F's in life. Right? Because, man, they were smart, but they didn't have an ounce of godly wisdom because they didn't seek God. They didn't seek His ways. They didn't really care to learn what does God say about how to do life. And so because they didn't, they just floundered and they struggled. And they could figure out some crazy quantum theory thing, but they couldn't have a relationship. We all know people like that. The reverse is true as well. I've been blessed, and maybe you have been, to know some people. They didn't have much education. I've known some people, but my mind instantly goes to my Grandpa Merle. You heard me talk about Grandma. We're going to go to the other side of the coin now. Grandpa. Yeah, it was Grandma's husband. I never knew him. I never actually met him. He died a couple of years before I was born, but I feel like I knew him because I have so many Grandpa stories and sayings and wisdom that has been passed down to me from him. 8th grade education. Worked at Delco Remy in Anderson all his life. Not, a super educated guy, smart as anybody else, I'm sure, but he lived an incredible life. He lived an incredibly wise life, was an elder in the church his whole life, was a wonderful Bible teacher, had a blessed marriage, just loved one another. Of course, marriage is marriage. There's ups and downs and all that, but it was blessed, raised a godly family, had a heart filled with joy, had a life filled with purpose. He lived a life of honor and character. There are many times I heard it said, you know what, I might not always agree with him, but I always respected him. What a life. What a life. Not because he was the smartest guy in the room, but because he cared about God's point of view on every aspect, and he went to God's Word to get it. And it made a difference in his life.